All right, on today's episode, we're joined by UFC welterweight that's known for bringing the action every time he steps in the cage. From the SoCal roots to the UFC wars, we're going to dive into his mindset, his journey, and what's up next for him. He's one of the toughest guys in the UFC. Our guest today, gifted Gabe Green.
Dude, it is our honor to have you here, Gabe. Super stoked to have you sitting down with us.
It's a super stoked for me just to be in a nice room, man.
Nice room, the air conditioning's
I was
going.
going to say the AC feels good today. That's good.
Yeah. So where do you want to start, Gabe? I mean, you want to start with the journey? I mean, I think there's so much to talk about, right? And I really think you're a really interesting dude. Also, when I was doing the research
Stop
on
it.
this, no, seriously, bro, just, being a man of faith and just kind of like
Just a
your whole journey is like really cool.
guy, man. I just love Jesus and fighting, and it's family. I always say like the F's, right? Like faith, family. I love food.
Well, I love food too.
That stuff, just all the F stuff, just love that stuff. Yeah, I mean, when I think about my journey from when I started, I'm like, dang it, man, it's already been like 10 years. It's crazy. It's just kind of flown by.
Yeah.
I didn't have any training. I walked into a gym and, man, like the first day, I like subbed some people and I was like, man, this thing's pretty cool. And then I remember one of my coaches he asked me like, oh, how are you liking this? I guess they saw some potential in me. They're just trying to see what my mindset was and stuff, if I was going to stick to it. And he said that I was like, oh man, it's pretty cool. I subbed some guys, but I haven't really been subbed yet. And then he like looked at like my head coach and they like were like that. And he was like, smash Gabe real quick. And then like he subbed me a bunch of times. He's a black belt, right? And but he knew like I was going to be like a little different because after getting smashed, I was like, man, that's the best thing ever.
I was getting smashed.
I was just like, I want I want to be able to do that though, because when you're going with the black belt, they're just like playing with you, like I thought I was doing good against these other guys who are just like, hobbyist regular people. And then the actual black belt goes on the mat with me and just destroys me. Just literally, I can't do anything to him. And I didn't get turned off to it at all. I was just like, man, like I want to be able to do that. And then from then it was just like every single day I was just at the gym. I had no idea if I was going to like take it to the highest level or anything. I just knew I was having fun and I wanted to be there.
Why'd you even decide to go to an MMA gym for the first time?
So, when I was in high school, I would get into a couple fights every once in a while, right?
Did you win those fights?
Yeah, was the record pretty good?
I never lost a street fight.
Okay,
right?
there you go.
You probably hear that a lot, but I never lost. And it's funny enough, my mom worked for the school district that I attended, so I never fought on campus. They'd like try to start something with me, and I'd be like, meet me over
like, I
here.
can't disrespect my mom.
Like,
We
no,
can't do
dude.
it here.
I wasn't scared of anyone, but I was scared of my mom. So I was like, I'm not.
Yeah.
She'll whoop me, So I was like, let's not get in trouble here. I'll meet you, and there's this secluded parking lot next to a YMCA that was really hard for the cops to get into. So it's the best place to fight. So I'd be like, meet me there, just because you could see them coming and you could hop some fences and you'd be gone, right? So I would there if any place, and then one of my friends in high school, he kind of became my friend afterwards, but saw me fighting there. And then the next week when I was walking home, I saw him fighting there and he was winning, but he was like, I was just throwing hands, right? Because I had no training whatsoever. This guy was like throwing leg kicks and like overhands, and he wrestled in high school. And I was just like, that guy knows some stuff, like I should be his friend, And then, sure enough, his name was Ryan. I ended up having an art class with him like the next semester, and then after we had already graduated from high school, he hit me up one day and was just like, "Hey, do you still like fighting?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like fighting." And he had started training with Tracy Hess, and he was like, "Why don't you just come down and train with me?" And Actually, at first I was like, I don't know. I had just had like I ended my football season with a messed up shoulder my senior year, and I was just like, man, I don't know. You know, I did a bunch of rehab to fix it. I'm like, I don't want to get picked up and slammed. I feel like that wouldn't be good for it. You know, I just took some time off to fix this thing, and he was basically like told me to not be a priss and was like, I'm gonna go pick you up. Let's go. Picked me up, showed up to practice, and I was just like hooked.
Do you think those guys that you beat up at the secret spot now kind of brag like, hey, I fought Gabe Green, who's now in the UFC. I fought that dude.
I've heard some things.
No, you have.
Like as far as, you know, like one guy, like the last fight I was ever in outside of you know, like
the
cage, like sanctioned fights. I heard he was like going around going like, oh yeah. But you know what? That guy in particular, he was going after we fought, he was going around telling people that he beat me too. And I remember I saw him one time at that same YMCA, and I was like, you know, just like I was bothered because I won. You know,
I feel that.
He's trying to get clout off your name, bro.
I think it was funny because I have a brother who's older than me. He's 4 years older than me, so we never like growing up we didn't hang out too much because he's just that age gap, right? Yeah. And I've always been like really like nice and just kind of well mannered and stuff like that. And so I don't think he realized that I had like a crazy side until one day he was there we were just going to get a lift at the YMCA, and I saw the guy who was drinking water. And so the weights were upstairs and the basketball courts were over there. And I was walking upstairs with my brother. In the corner of my eye, I seen the guy, right? He's drinking water. And I was just like, should I press him? Should I let it go? After I was like, nah, I'm like, I can't just have some guy walking around saying he can beat me up when I know he can't, you know? the younger me, right? So I walk over there and I pressed him. I'm like, hey, you know, I heard you're over here, you're talking a bunch of crap saying you beat me in the fight, or, you know, like you could beat me up. And it was like he saw a ghost, man. He was just like, couldn't say anything. His friends were all coming out, and I was like, so what's up? Like, can you beat me in a fight or not? You want to fight right now? There's a parking lot outside. The same parking lot's outside. I'm like, what's up? And
he didn't want that rematch.
He was just like, I'm sorry, like he was like stuttering, and my friends or his friends were like, answer the question. Are you talking crap or not? Like, you know, just answer the question. And finally he said like, no, I'm not saying anything. I got nothing but respect for you, right? And I was just like, and my brother was just kind of like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Is that
he wasn't sure. He didn't see that.
This is my little brother pressing people saying, can you beat me up?
Yeah, it's like, is this my little brother? Yeah. So it was, I think it was the first time where he ever seen me just in that light where he was just like, what the hell?
But
like,
you're really a calm, relaxed dude. But when you go in that mode, does your whole facial expressions change? Your eye, like, no, do you become like a different dude? Or are you still this calm when you're pressing people?
I mean, I can't look at myself, but from what it's funny because I got a little baby girl now, right? And she's super white with blue eyes and blonde hair, like doesn't look like me whatsoever. But she does this thing. She makes this face, and her eyebrows kind of go down, and she goes like that. I think
we know where she gets it.
And my friends are all like, "Dude, she has your face." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like that's the face right before you beat us all up, and I'm like. So I guess I do have like something that turns on and clicks.
I think you have to, because when you're a nice guy and you're super chill and you're calm, you're mellow, for that switch to flip, I think you become a different person. I think it's just something comes over you.
Like I guess I wouldn't be able to say whatsoever. But yeah, like as far as what people have told me, that it's just like, yeah, Gabe's over here smiling and stuff. And then even right now, you know, like I get to the gym first, I put gospel music on, we're all having a good time, and then it's time to spar, and they're just like.
I don't want to go.
Dude, that's the truth. Yeah, right? You are so like into your faith, right? Which is cool and all that. And then you get in the cage and you absolutely destroy people. You hurt people, bro.
Yeah, you know it's because I've talked to people about this too, because they're like, how are you like all loving people and full of respect, but then you hurt them? And I'm like, it's not like I'm trying to hurt them. My goal isn't I'm gonna go break someone. I'm gonna go kill them. I'm gonna run. I'm trying to be like the best me possible. I'm trying to have perfect technique. I'm trying to slip right, you know, hit my level changes, throw a jab with no tell, you know, turn my hips over right. I'm just trying to perfect my craft.
Yeah.
It just so happens that when I do that, sometimes people get hurt. But that's not like them getting hurt's not on my mind whatsoever. And I mean, if I was going around thinking like, oh, I don't want to hurt this guy, then obviously I wouldn't be able to do my job. But it's not like, on the flip side, it's not like I'm trying to hurt them. I'm just trying to do what I do the best way possible. And like, that's it. I'm just trying to master my craft. And as far as breaking, like, I hope every time I knock someone out that they get up and they're fine.
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
want them to be just floored and not, or I hope that if I get like the arm bar and I'm like, you know, cranking it, that they do tap before I break
So
it. Like, I don't want them to just break their arm. Like, bro, tap, you know, like,
Yep.
but I mean, if they don't, they don't. It's not my job to stop the fight. That's what the refs are for and all that stuff. So it's just, until they tell me to stop, like, I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing the best I can.
That's your job, you know. But we talk about, you know, you were fighting kind of in high school. You go to Tracy's gym. When did you kind of understand this was going to be a career path for you, like in MMA?
So I think I had my first. I did a jujitsu tournament like after a month or so of training, and I got gold. And I was like, man, this
there was a bunch of little signs to you that you had
like,
a little something.
I guess I got something going on here, yeah. And then after that, I think I did.
Did Tracy? Sorry to interrupt. Did Tracy notice it?
Yeah. So like everyone, all the like the older heads in the gym were just like, Gabe, stay away from girls. And just keep training.
Yeah.
And I was just, they're like, I think you can take this very far. And I was just like, you know, like whatever, guys, you know. But that, like, literally all the other guys were just telling, like, Gabe, they're like, it was, I'm like, you guys all just talking to each other or something? Because literally all of them were just saying the same thing. They're just like, stay away from girls and just keep coming to practice, keep coming. Yeah. They're like, and they would all say, it's funny because it's like they had a script or something. I don't say this to everybody. You know, I've come across a lot of people, guys come in and out of the gym, but I'm telling you, you're different. And I was just like, you know, like, all right, you know. And I did like it. So it was like, I'm just going to keep on doing it and see what happens.
Is that how you got your nickname, Gifted? Or how did you get the nickname Gifted?
Yeah. So at first, when I was an amateur, because the Gifted came with when I went pro, which was only like a year after starting to train. So it wasn't super far. But when I was, my family all calls me Lish, right? So when I was an amateur fighter, I was going by like Vicious Gabrielicious, right? Also pretty
Wait,
cool.
Can you say that again? One more time.
It was Vicious Gabrielicious, right?
All right.
Right. And my family just called me Lish. And my dad gave me that nickname because it was his nickname when he was little. And my older brother's a junior. So he just kind of was like, I'm going to pass this on to Gabe. So everyone just calls me, like, my family, Lish. I'm turning around like, oh, like if someone calls me Lish, like they know me for sure. Yeah. I'm like, oh, like this person.
That's the inner circle right there.
Super close. Yeah. So that's what I was going by. And then, I don't know, something just happened when we were going pro, and because it wasn't like, you know, like my family was calling me that. Some people called me at that on like the local circuit, but it wasn't like anything, and it wasn't like an official nickname, you know, it's just more like what my family called me. And then I was talking to Tracy, I was like, so what's like my nickname gonna be? Like, how do we do this? And he was and then he just came up with the Gifted thing, and it wasn't like. It's not meant to be like, oh, I just got a bunch of skill or anything that I was just born with. It's that the gift is really just work ethic, because although I had some kind of like, I had some natural ability, what happened more than anything was I was the first one in the gym. I was there when the classes weren't going on. After classes were over, I would stay extra hour, 2 hours. Tracy was like kicking me out of the gym. He's like, Gabe, go rest. He's like, dude, aren't you at school? Like, go to your classes, you know, like spend your time there. So the gift that I have more than anything is work ethic. And that's where the Gifted comes from.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then I think as an AMI, you had like 5 or so fights, something like that, and you went undefeated as an amateur, right?
Yeah, it was either 5 or 6, okay. But yeah, the first one was the only one that went to decision, and I just kept hitting the guy over and over again, and he just like did not fall down. He wouldn't go away.
He wasn't like Ryan.
I got a gifted chin.
Ryan would have gone away after that first hit game.
From Gifted Gabe Green, yeah, probably. Let's not try it out though. We don't have to
Don't test him, bro.
No. Well, do you remember your feelings? I guess maybe some nerves, or okay, you've been training now, been the work in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then you got that first official fight coming up. Was that like a oh shit moment or anything for you? Like, you know, going into that first fight?
I was so like even when I got into fights when I was like in high school, it wasn't because I was like bad or anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of I had a bag at the house and I would hit the bag and I'd watch YouTube videos, you know, like just kind of self-trained. And I was really intrigued to see how my skills would translate to actual combat. So that was just it. I was just like, am I actually good at this? Because like the bag doesn't hit back, right? Everyone says the bag doesn't hit back, right? So I'm like, it'd be so like I'd go to practice, I'd go to school in high school, I'd go to football practice and everything, and I'd come home and I'd like hit the bag and I'd have a bag workout, and I'm like, I'm gonna do my jabs, I'm gonna throw my cross, I'm gonna step to the side, and I'm like, was writing down notes like I need to do this, this, and that, even though I had no idea what I was doing. Every punch was probably wrong, right? You know, bad form and all that stuff, but I wanted to see if it would actually work. So whenever someone kind of was ready to dance, I didn't like calm it down. I was kind of just, I didn't like start them, but I was like,
You were more than willing.
Yeah, more than willing to be a dance partner.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to see like how good I was, you know,
Right.
that was it. So when it came time to when Tracy asked me, like, do you want to do a fight? I was like, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, let's do this. Because I was just like, well, if I was doing pretty good against guys that like didn't know how to fight. I mean, most of the guys I fought were guys that kind of like were beat up everybody else on the street, and I was beating those guys up. So I was just like, I mean, I got to be like okay at least. You know, I was using them as a measuring stick, but now I'm like, all right, now it's that next level.
No, you knew you were good. You just weren't cocky or arrogant about it, but you knew that you had some talent.
I was definitely confident, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, so now I'm here. And then even sparring in the gym against guys that have been there a lot longer than me, I was doing really well against them. So I was just like, all right, you know, like, but, you know, it's just in the gym. It's just sparring. It's not a real fight. That brings an extra level of competition out of people. Winning the jiu-jitsu tournament felt good because it's, you know, guys are trying to get the gold, you know? So there was that. So when it came time for the actual fight, I was like really happy. I was really excited just to see what I can do against someone else who's training to, you know, beat me up. And then that went really well. And Tracy was like, you want to do another one? I was like, yes, let's do another one.
That one went really well.
It went really well. And then they like I progressively did better because that first one I was, the only nervousness that happened was, it was what was the name? It was at the Yoast. It was not Tracy's knockout, Get Down. It was Get Down fights. And so my guy that I fought was trained under the coach who's like who has the promotion.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to let this one go to decision because I feel like I'm going to get robbed. But because of that, I was like rushing stuff. I didn't really set my feet for punches. I was doing too much. And so that one did go to decision, but standing there with my hand down and then next to someone else with their hand down and just like my stomach was in knots. I was like, did I do enough? I'm like, I'm just thinking about everything that I did wrong in the fight before the fight was even like over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am never going to decision again. This is trash. I would much rather wait next to the ref to raise my hand knowing that I won already, right?
Yeah.
So and then so I kept that in mind going on to like my next amateur fights, and then still, you know, in my career today,
I mean,
I try to win
You
mostly.
have a 91% finish rate, I believe.
Yeah, so you know, I don't want to be waiting there with my hand down, not knowing I won. It feels much better after I knock the guy out or I subbed him or something, just to be like, okay.
I kind of like that about you and your mindset. You know what I mean? I mean, are you super competitive also? Like, I mean, is it just like you feel this drive that you've got to win?
I don't like,
or is it?
It really only comes out with the fighting stuff. Everything else, I'm just like, nah, you know.
It's God's
like,
plan, right? Like you use that term a lot. Right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've actually got that tattoo on me, God's plan, because
Peace.
you know I kind of believe in the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there's, especially with fighting, there's so many variables, there's so many stuff.
Such a tough sport.
And then it's, when you're fighting someone, the person who's better, like because of all those variables, it like that person might not win. You know, there's too much going on. You can be the better fighter all around and lose.
Yep.
And then you can be the worst fighter and win. So it's just like,
Happens almost every weekend.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's-
It
crazy.
drives me nuts. But
And-
that's why I say, like, you have chosen what I believe is the toughest job on the planet.
I mean, it's the funnest though.
No, it is. I mean, the adrenaline, the highs are high, but the lows are low. You know what I mean? But it's just, you can look perfect and just get caught, you know? And it just, I don't know. It's so tough.
I mean, so then you go into the fight, especially with my mindset now with the whole faith thing and everything. I know that, and I pray for that everything I do is for the glory of God. And it's just win or lose. I just pray that whatever outcome it is the outcome that best suits God and his kingdom. And so once I do that, I'm just like, well, I'm free of like any anxiety, anything. Cause I know leading up to it, I'm going to train my butt off. I'm going to do everything I can because like I said, I'm fighting for God's glory. I'm representing him in everything that I do, inside the cage, outside the cage, at all points. Right. And so I go in there, I don't want to do a disservice to God and like half train, leading up to something where I'm going to, offer it like this is all for you, so I'm training my butt off. And I know that if the win happens, it's what God wanted. And if the loss happens, I'm just like, all right, so I wasn't supposed to win that one.
Part of the journey.
Yeah. What's up? What has God got for me now? I'm more excited just to see what's my next step that God has for me in my journey. Yeah, that's just, and if it's wins, it's cool. If it's a loss, then it's a loss.
So you had a very distinguished amateur career and you went pro. What did it feel like? Because during that time, you didn't taste defeat ever. What did it feel like when you first lost?
That it was, at
Because
that
I think
time,
you were probably a different person.
I was a completely different person.
Okay.
Yeah, at that time, it was more so like how I felt getting subbed by like my coach though. I was like really fired up and I was just like, this is never happening again. I'm going to go on like a tear and I'm smashing whoever. I needed that taste to get out of my mouth. I was like, nope, I don't lose. Like I took it very personally. And I like, and then, like I went on actually I lost 2 and I lost again. And after I was just like, I remember I was like sitting there and I was just like, damn, 2 in a row. Like I've gone, I think at that point it was 8 fights, 6 AMI, 2 pro, and like finishes except for that very first
and
amateur fight.
All the street fights before
all
that.
The street fights before that. And I was just like, man, like 2 in a row? Like what? Something's broken here. Like this isn't supposed to happen to me. And I remember being like, upset, but not upset where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna quit. It's like, no, what did I do wrong? I'm fixing everything. I'm winning. I need a win.
What advice would you give to these, these rising stars, these young guys kind of coming up? What advice would you give them like when they experience defeat early on? Because we always talk about it. We love our risers, our amateurs having tough fights early on, right? And telling them like, this is just to get that experience. Do the L's really matter on the record when they're rising stars? Should they try to test themselves early on? So
no, yeah, I try to tell every amateur. I'm like, dude, just go fight like every week. It's on your record, but as soon as you go pro, you're 0-0 again. I was like, fight whoever. I'm like, you should experience as much stuff as you can like I wish I got to experience as an amateur going to like jumping on a plane and fighting an amateur fight out of state or because you're cutting weight and it's just a total you walk out, everyone's booing you or something, you're not home. There's so many and those things all factor into your mind and all that stuff. So if you can experience all that before you get to the point where it actually matters, it's so much better for you. Completely beneficial. I think every fighter should not, especially as an amateur, don't worry about your record at all because it just gets erased and then no one's going to be like, hey, your amateur record was 0-7 when your pro record is 20 and whatever.
Terrion Ware had a crazy upside down record, ended up making it to the UFC, but like I say, amateur, I think he was like 2-13 or some crazy number, to be honest. Yeah. But we preach that to all the guys, and I always tell them, like, you rather go fight a really good jiu-jitsu guy or even maybe hop on a plane 1 week notice if the opportunity presents itself, doing it now instead of on the biggest stage. You've never experienced it before, and now you're scared of going to a different city to fight because you've never done it before or whatever it may be. So I totally agree with that, and I try to preach that to all the rising stars. Yeah,
and that's for us too. We kind of tell them like with Up Next too, we want to get them under the bright lights early on so they've had interviews, they know what media's like, so they feel super comfortable, when they make it big.
For Up Next in particular, you guys do a really good job on making your amateurs feel like they're part of something that's really big. Yeah, like thanks. You guys, and not to crap on amateur boxing or anything, but like if you look at like amateur boxing shows versus amateur MMA shows, just not even like Up Next, like you guys kind of go beyond just raise the bar really high for amateur MMA shows in general. You guys are like next level. But just I think it's so interesting how amateur boxing fights feel like smokers that like it doesn't even like they're not getting ready for anything pro. But amateur MMA does a really good job of setting them up on how it feels like to take things to like a level of realness.
I think it comes down to two things, right? I think one is you have to care about these athletes, right? We always try to say like, we're not just putting on shows, we're building a brand, right? And the UNF brand is tied into the athletes brand, because if the athletes get in there and they perform and they're amazing, the UNF brand looks great. You know what I mean? So for us, we want to take good care of them, but also they deserve nothing less. So some of these other, these boxing shows that don't do social media for these guys and don't invest in them, it really bothers us in a way, because here these athletes are really training, putting it all on the lines. It's the least a promotion can do for them is give them a great platform. It doesn't have to be as maybe nice as Up Next or whatever, because I think we do invest a lot, but you got to give them what they deserve.
Yeah, no, like I said, you guys are killing it, man. Like when what was the first time one of our guys fought on your show, and I was just like, man, this is cool, man. I wish I fought on this when I was an amateur. I was like, this is so nice.
Everyone tells me like a mini UFC. Obviously, nowhere close to UFC, but like just the lights, the schmo being there, everything. We try to do all the interviews after. I also think it's for guys like not everyone can make it to the UFC like you. You're top percentile, but a lot of people do put the work in and are chasing a dream and chasing a goal. So I think like for us, doing the best we can to provide a great show for them to fight on that aren't going to get to the big show one day. I mean, everyone, put the hard work and try, but not everyone could become a UFC fighter. So to give them something where they get their interviews and they get their shine, they feel part of something kind of big is important too.
But if you're a partner with these athletes, which we are supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be a partner. They don't work for us. We don't work for, we're sort of partners. We got to give them every opportunity to get there and prepare them for that.
No,
right?
that's
only a small percentage will make it like you did, Gabe. You've accomplished what very few can accomplish, but at least us, we could play a positive role in their journey and give them, every opportunity to try to get them there.
Yeah, and make them feel like they're part of a big show too, which is, on brand with us and what we're trying to build as well. So it cohesively works together.
Well, I've also heard like, you talk about getting to the UFC, that people's motivations and reasons to get there need to be kind of right on.
I mean, because people are always hitting me up and they're like, oh, I'm going to be in the UFC, this. And I'm like, well, why do you want to go to the UFC, man? That's the first thing I ask them, like, why? And they're like, well, I want, like, if you want to go to the UFC because you want to be famous and rich, I mean, like, go ahead and want that all you want. But, like, there's, to me personally, terrible reasons, because, like you said, nothing in life is guaranteed. But, like, getting into the UFC, when you start training in MMA, getting to the UFC is, like, chances of it happening.
Sorry to interrupt you. Chris, can we go chat GPT? I want to ask chat GPT. Yeah. Like,
what's the percentage?
What
likelihood?
Percentage of fighters, MMA fighters, can make it into the UFC?
Yeah.
What do you think that percentage is going to be?
I feel like of all MMA fighters,
lower than 1, maybe.
Yeah.
You think lower than 1? I was going to say 5, man.
No,
I think 1%.
I mean, I don't know if they're gonna. Let's see.
Like what are they?
Less than 1% of MMA fighters will ever make it to the UFC.
Bro.
Makes me feel kind of special.
I know you're not. Well,
you're
that's what I'm saying.
You are gifted.
You definitely are. You have no ego. I can tell that about you. And I don't like egotistical people, and you're not. But you've accomplished what 1% of fighters can't do. Like, I mean, you're in that 99 percentile, bro. Like
and that's what I tell them too. And looking back at, I didn't even know it was like 1%. That's crazy. When I tell people, like, don't be so focused on getting in the UFC, man. Focus on trying to be better
every day.
And then, like me, I submit to God and His plan, because that's what I look at. I'm like, I know there's fighters out in the world that are probably better than me, and they just didn't get the shots. They weren't in the places at the right time like I was. I think God's really got a divine plan for everybody, and for some reason He just was like, Gabe, you're gonna go to the UFC. That's like the only reason why I'm there. And I think everybody, whether they're willing to admit it or they want to admit it, everything's happening for for reasons that we don't understand. And everyone in the UFC is in the UFC for whatever reason God chose them to be
Yeah.
in the UFC for. And so when I'm telling these like kids or whoever young adults that are hitting me up and like telling me I'm going to the UFC, I'm like, man, don't worry about that. Train real hard because God loves someone who's not lazy, and just leave it all in His hands. Like you're not gonna get. I always tell people like Moses leading the people out of Egypt. I'm like, they didn't just end up in the promised land. They had to walk there, So you got to put in the work to get there. You
gotta
put the
believe,
work
yeah.
but even then, not everybody got to the promised land, right? Moses didn't even get to the promised land. God used them a lot. So it's like, you just go do your thing. You work, you train hard, you do all that. And if you're meant to be there, then you're meant to be there. If you don't end up there, you got this long journey of awesomeness that God's been with you the whole time, and just enjoy it. Have the fun.
Yeah. I really subscribe to that. I feel if you put the work in, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get to where you're supposed to be. That's like abundance, right? In life, like people always focus on the money. And I don't think people should focus on money. I think if you focus on hard work, being honest, being a good person, abundance will come. That money will come. That success will come.
And then there's so many different ways to measure what success is and all that stuff.
Exactly,
like
bro.
if someone's like, "Oh, you're in the UFC, you're successful," I'm like, "Yeah, but I would say having like a wife that loves me, a baby girl that adores me and eyes light up every time I see her, a family that supports and loves me, that makes me way more successful than like just wealthier than so many people. The UFC is just like icing on the cake."
So I love that. But what would you tell the youngsters who look to success as, Instagram? Like, oh, if they've got money or if they're going to exotic, but like this fake sort of success that seems to be rampant in our world
right, and
today.
it's such a big problem. Everyone is trying to be fulfilled by things that aren't fulfilling. If you're just trying to let's say, oh, I want to be in the UFC. Once you get there, are you really going to be fulfilled if that's your only dream? Like, no, now you've reached where you're supposed to be. You're going to try to fill it with a new thing. And a lot of people do that. They're like, well, now I want to be in the top 10, or now I want the UFC gold, or this or that. And then they're always chasing something. And then even then, let's say you get there and you got your UFC championship and belt. And it's like, well, then now what? Like, what are you going to do after that? Just defend it a bunch of times and then you retire and then you're just empty, that's why God is such an amazing just thing to have in your life, because he fulfills you. You're worried about, making Him happy, following, like, He's the one who's fulfilling you. He's giving you your peace. That if you're gonna, fight for admiration from anything, it's not all these fake people that are all finicky and will just turn their backs on
In
you.
a heartbeat.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Especially MMA fans, dude.
So
One day they love you, one day they hate you.
I don't tag like my wife on like anything
Yeah.
because I mean, they're like investigators too. They'll like just pull stuff up and start
these
messaging
people have nothing
everybody.
better to do with their lives, Gabe.
And the amount of hate that they have in their bodies is like so after I lost to like Gary and Battle, I was getting messages telling me to kill myself. Like, you suck.
kidding me?
You should do this. Why don't you go kill yourself in this? And my wife would be like, don't even respond to those people. They don't even need. And I was just like, no, they need to hear this. And I was responding to him and I was telling him like, look, I'm in a good place in my life. You telling me this, not going to bother me whatsoever. However, there's a lot of fighters out there that are in very dark places.
Yeah.
And messages like this can be something that pushes someone over the edge. You need to think twice
Such
about
a good person, bro.
Yeah. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do as a man of God. It's not God made me this way. And I just do it for but I tell him like, and then if there's fire, right, you don't put out fire with more fire, right? So I tried to be kind and loving, and I was just telling him like, don't do this, because you don't know where other people are, like you could be. And how would you feel if you were that message and then that guy goes and kills himself? Like, what? How would you feel?
Yeah.
And then a lot of them though, I feel like they're just a bunch of hurt people too who just want someone to listen, and so they're just saying these things just to get a rise out of someone. And when I respond like that, they would, message me back and be like, oh man, I never thought about stuff like that. You're right. I'm sorry, and then or, you know, I end with like, God bless you. You know, I still praying for whatever's hurt you, you know, that we get to the root of it and you feel better. Cause it's just, you can't be attacking people like that, man. You just,
Well, you're a much better man than I am. Like, I don't respond to those people, but I feel like your approach to that is very mature, and it's very clear it's faith driven too, right? Like, at least that's how it appears to me. Like, you have this inner peace that you can try to work to help others.
and you know, like I said, I do everything because I'm chasing after Jesus. I'm chasing after God's admiration. All this like fake stuff that doesn't matter. I'm always trying to be genuinely me, and that's all that matters.
I mean, Ryan, why do you think people are so like that, especially online? Like, and these are accounts that have, you know, 0 followers that follow 2,000 accounts.
A fake picture or something like that.
Yeah,
I think social media is just giving people a platform where they're not face to face with someone. They could say whatever they want. And, you know, sometimes people like to say something to a fighter, get a reaction, screenshot it, get clicks or whatever it may be. I don't see why anyone should ever say that to another human being, ever. Yeah. I mean, I think there's multiple reasons, but I mean, I think it's horrible, but I do love your approach and kind of how you're negating that and like trying to help the other person. Because honestly, to say something like that, like everyone can talk a little shit. To say something like that, though, you do have to be somewhat hurt or just something has to be wrong for you to say that to another human.
To hurt others, but I think also like the testament to it is like your strength to reply the way that you're replying. Because in all honesty, I wouldn't reply that way.
Yeah,
I wish I would though, because that is such
it's a teaching point too.
Great way to sort of like deal with that situation.
So I figure I'm like, you know what, like,
no, you're just,
I could not respond to it, but I'm like, this is a really good just time to just teach something to 100%. Someone who needs
I think
a
I just
lesson,
learned,
you know?
Listen, I think I just learned something today from you, to be honest. What do you think the internet thinks of you?
I feel like the people that are a fan of me are like, they're just fans of me. Like, it feels, that feels cool. Cause I think that people follow me less for my fighting ability and more just cause they like me. And that's a nice thing to do.
Chris, what does Chat GPT say about gifted Gabe Green?
Be like,
let's see if it's right on.
street fight. A lot of people say some mean things about me online, man.
Have people say mean things? Well,
they act like it's funny because like they'll just be like, Gabe sucks and all this stuff. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know what to say.
I just love when the casual fan like tells a UFC fighter they suck at fighting. No, it's just
looks. And I think
crazy.
I crack up because when we sit on this podcast, I think he knows MMA. Like for his being 27 years old, he knows MMA inside and out. I call myself a fan, because I don't understand the sport really. I'm truly a fan. So these other people that criticize fighters and athletes who have the courage to get in there and do what they do, it just blows my mind.
I think it's even more like people hide behind social media, but I think the way society has gone, people just don't have to answer for things they do anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even in person, will just like talk a lot of crap and they don't get slapped in the mouth anymore. Like, so there's like no repercussions. So they just kind of mouth off.
Yeah.
And like, it's really hard. Like, even if you wanted, like if it really got to you and you hit them or something like that, you'd be in so much trouble. You'd be in way more trouble.
I feel like I've experienced, like my age is like kind of where
it stopped.
It's changed. Social media became a big thing probably when I was in high school, like, freshman, sophomore year. And like you could get in fights in middle school and people could get a bloody nose. And then like 3 years later, someone gets a bloody nose. You're getting in trouble. There's videos of it everywhere and all that stuff. So the haters and people talking shit are kind of protected more these days. Because I mean, I don't want to promote violence and everything, but sometimes when people talk shit to you or are really disrespectful as men, you scrap it out. And that's how you either gain the respect or whatever it may be, but you just can't do that anymore.
But we got to get back to a society where, there's mutual respect amongst us, where it's not okay to disrespect someone or their space. You know what I mean? And I just feel like there's not that compassion in the world the way there used to be. There's just a lack of respect.
I think wouldn't be able to pinpoint when it happened, but it's just that like there's an easy way to respect someone is if someone was allowed to hit you and like defend themselves.
Slap them in the face.
Right? Just that's it. Boom. And then the guy's gonna think twice next time about what he says. But without that and him being protected, because like if you do anything, you're in so much trouble now. And then
Yeah.
it's online, and then like people don't even want to fight anymore. They just
Well, you see people online, right? They're chirping, disrespecting, getting people say spitting at somebody. And then when somebody hits them and reacts like, "Oh my God, you hit me! Oh my God!"
pull out their phone.
Go call the lawyer. Let's go.
911.
Yeah, that's just people are really, really soft, man. That's just they're really soft. They like to talk big game, and when things get real, they're not too real. And that's one of my favorite things about fighting is that there is, in a world full of facade, there's no facade, there's no hiding. It's a very intimate thing. There's like it's you and this other person locked in a cage, or you're in a ring if it's boxing or something else, and it's just going to be you versus them. Like no matter how much they talked, no matter how good they thought they were, no one's going to come save them. No one's going to save you. It's just you versus the other person. And I love that so much. It teaches you so much about yourself. Like, who are you when things, get tough? Like, are you someone who breaks? Are you someone who's going to rise to it? Are you going to keep on fighting? Are you going to wither away and just shell up? Like, who are you? Let's find out who you are. And because I think everyone should like go have a fight in their life. Like don't worry about the hurting nobody. But for you, go learn who you are. Go get in a fight. Yeah.
Well, I think in your last fight, I mean, you had a great performance, but I think you were in a tough spot in your last fight, right?
Yeah, you threw that triangle up, and then it was actually I've been in a triangle, kind of like in a similar situation before, and I got out of that one, and it was like a similar thing. I was just in the triangle. I'm like, man, this thing's pretty tight, and then
no, but it looked pretty tight.
Yeah, it's and I'm like, okay, so I got two options. I can get out, or I can try to get out, or I can quit.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not a quitter, so let's just go with the other option. And then just eased my way out and was able to get out. And then after that, leading up to it, he was already really tired, and I felt like he didn't have much fight in him left. And then as soon as I got out, he was pretty broken.
His heart at that
he
point.
Was broken, yeah. That's also a very interesting part about fighting, just kind of seeing, because it's like you guys are, it's not just physical, like spiritually, you guys are battling. It's a fight of wills. And when you see someone else's will just kind of crumble, you're like, like I got him, you know? And
that last fight, did you see that? Was it in his body? Was it in his eyes? How did you read that?
Everything, man. It's like a feeling. It's that intimacy. It's you versus the other person. And there's this whole, I don't know, energy just kind of transfer that you guys are going to. It's like I said, it's spiritual on top of the physical. Like, is he breathing real hard? Yeah, is he like, does he have a facial look like where he's kind of like, man, I don't know if I can continue to do this. Like, you pick up on those cues, but you can just like feel it. Like, oh man, he's almost to his breaking point. And then once it happens, it's like, let's say you're benching or something, right? And there's this pressure, gravity, weights, it's pulling back, right? And it feels heavy. But like if you just took weights off, like took off a plate on both sides, it just gets easier and easier to push, and it feels like you're not pushing anything anymore.
Yep.
There's like no more pushback when they break. And you can just feel that, where it's just like, oh, it's done.
Have you ever wanted to quit in there? Was there ever a moment in time where you felt you wanted to quit?
I wouldn't say like I felt like I wanted to quit. I was almost, I'm very, I think when I'm in there, right? And
that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, how many, because you mentioned like, you're in the triangle, you can either tap or quit, or you fight out of it. So, how often do you have those like thoughts, like of ever,
Not like all the time. I try to be in a position where I'm just kind of flowing and going with it, hit that flow state. But there are times where you're like, you're in a position where it's bad and you're just like, all right, so what are my options? At least for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so what are my options? And then, I acknowledge that quitting is an option, but then I go like let's slide past that one. So what other options do we got? So like I've seen the option. I've realized that it is an option, but I've never really thought that
that's an option.
That's what I'm gonna take. I'm like, nope, mom didn't raise a quitter. Let's go ahead and go over here instead. But like, I mean, it is an option if you want to get out. Easiest way to get out is just to tap. But
yeah, we always talk about it, right? It seems like fighting is much more mental than physical.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I would much rather go into a fight with my mind in the right headspace than my body being like with my mind being 100% and my body being like 75 than the opposite. My
Sure, yeah.
mind being 75 and my body being 100. That's because I know that my mind is going to allow me to push past things that my body wasn't ready to go for in the first place, as opposed to like, because I've been in fights where my hand was broken and I'm like, well, I'm going to punch him anyways. Because I got to find a way to make it happen. And, but if I didn't have that mind to push me past those things, then, as soon as something breaks, I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm going to fall. Like one of my pro losses, I dislocated one of my fingers, and I remember I looked down at my finger, and it was like pointed that way, and I was like, And I looked at the guy, and I looked back at my finger, and I was like, I guess I'm just throwing right hands for a second, and I just started throwing my right hand, and he capitalized on it, and he like hit me with the body shot, and then the ref called the fight, but I remember. Tracy too was like, what happened? And I was like, I went like that. And my finger was pointing at him and he was just like,
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, but this is like really early into my fight career too. Like I think I've only been training all together with martial arts at that point for like 14 months or something like that. Or 16 months at tops. And my coach was like, you can always shoot for a takedown, Gabe. And at that point, I can pop it back in between rounds. And I was like, noted. Next time my finger gets
I'll keep that in mind next
I'm
time.
gonna keep that in mind.
But
and if going back to the amateur thing, if I would have experienced something like that when I was an amateur, I would have already known. But I didn't know it.
We just had a fight. It was an amateur women's title fight.
I was there.
And so Jada got her finger stuck in the cage, and she kind of called for a timeout, just lack of experience, and she didn't realize they ruled out a TKO.
Me and my wife were watching it. We were there, and I told her, I was like, oh, she just basically forfeited. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you're saying you can't continue, I'm like, you got to keep fighting through that and hope that they fix it during, when you're in between rounds. Cause
I felt so bad for her because she didn't, it's lack of experience, right?
Yeah.
Like she just didn't know, but afterwards. So.
Yeah. I mean, the thought of me tapping out didn't pop like I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I was just like,
why did she try to call for a timeout? Wasn't
yeah. I think it was like, I don't know, her finger was like twisted or something caught in the cage.
Yeah.
But as soon as you asked the ref to stop it, and there was,
yeah, something like I understand it. It's the rules, and it's just so funny. I remember my coach was like what happened? I just went like that, and his finger, finger is just.
And that's a mental battle too, right? Looking down at it for the first time, you're like, all right, I got to be a savage, though, and keep pushing.
But a lot of people be like, I quit. Like, okay, my finger's this way. Okay, it's enough. And then you have others who just fight through it, and that's why I just feel like. When you have that mindset and that mentality, that's what sets good from great. You know what I mean? That is for me, like, what's that next level? Because you could be a good fighter, this and that, but you're great if you have that mindset that equals your talent.
I think a lot of, because when you do that like that, that's when you're a fighter. Like you're able to fight through things. When things aren't going your way, you're able to fight, continue to fight. And I think. Even at the highest level, like even in the UFC, I don't know if there's many, I think out of that 1% that makes it, right? That percentage of people that are there that are actual fighters is even less. I think a lot of people get there and they're just really, really good athletes, like phenomenal athletes. But the minute and they're winning, they're beating everyone, right? The minute they run into some adversity, into someone who's like, you gotta put them down in order to beat them. When they run into that person, that's when they're just like their whole world's shaking and they're just like, wow, I didn't know that. They don't know what it feels like to be in the fire.
Adversity will really define what you have in you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys are, especially on the AMI scene and the regional scene, used to just walking through people. But when you get to that UFC level, there's no easy fights.
That's one thing I love about MMA too. It's like NBA, football, a lot of sports. Most of the sports, you got to be a physically gifted athlete in a sense. But MMA is one of those sports, man. If you have heart and you have will, dedication, and you fight and you work harder than the other guy next to you.
How many guys you see in there that their skill is like, they look good, okay, but they don't look great and they're just mopping people out.
You can just tell they're not very athletic. They can't jump so high. But like, it's one of those sports where like, hard work really matters.
Yep.
Your grit really matters, and your heart really matters. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I love about MMA.
Well, I also feel that's why, like, you know, UFC and MMA, that's the upper echelon. Like everyone knows if you could be a top talent and make it to the UFC, you're the cream of the crop.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so I want to ask, so when we're kind of going storyline of your career, what was it like to get the call from the UFC?
Oh, so when I fought for when I won my pro belt for CXF, right? I fought Richard Leroy.
Ooh,
It
love
was a
Richard.
banger of a fight.
Dude, he's always in bangers, bro.
We need to get him out of like retirement in a fight again, man.
We should see Richard fight one more time. That would be sick.
He's still young enough to get out there. So, and I broke my hand in that fight. That's the one I was talking about. Broke my hand in that one. So that right there, though, he was, I think, 7-0, all knockouts. I was like 7-2 or something like that, or 8-2. All finishes, right? And on a 6-fight win streak or something like that. And so we fought. I knock him out in the second round, and then that got the UFC like to be like, I want this guy, right? So they end up calling me to fight Gilbert Burns on short notice. And like a month or two after the fight, they're like, you want to fight Gilbert Burns? And well, they called my head coach, and it was the day after I had like shoulder surgery or hand something, one of my surgeries, because I broke my hand in the fight. But previously I was fighting, every fight in my fight career was with a bum shoulder that I needed surgery on. Is like my left arm did not work. I had to jujitsu. I always like went, or wrestling, I'd always get my right side underhook and go that way. Like my left one wouldn't be able to like lift up. So my style had to really change in what things I could do. Cause I had just, I was fighting the whole time with an arm that wasn't very great. Right. So after that fight, when I went in, cause my hand was broken, I was like, we should probably just fix the shoulder because I don't know what's wrong with it, but it's messed up. So it turns out that it was messed up. I had shoulder surgery, and so it was the day after my shoulder surgery. Day after my shoulder surgery, Tracy calls me. He's like, "You want good news or bad news?" And I said, what kind of news could you give me? Like, I just had shoulder surgery, you know." And he's just like, I was like, give me the bad news. And he's like, well, you just had shoulder surgery. After I'm like,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
I was there.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, so what's the good news? He's like, oh, good news is UFC called me yesterday, and they wanted you to go fight. They want to sign you. And he's like, but the bad news is you had shoulder surgery, so we can't take the fight. And I was just like, oh, well, that's a bummer, because like we've already talked about. There's people wait for that call, right?
Yeah.
And then and this was a blessing from my coach Tracy. I didn't do anything it was like 2 years. That happened in 2018, right? And I didn't get called. I didn't fight again till 2020, and then that was for the UFC. So for like the next 2 years, my coach was emailing like Sean Shelby and just giving him like, oh, Gabe's finally cleared to do this. Gabe's finally cleared to do that, and was just keeping that kind of lane open and just being persistent. And then God's plan, right? 2020, everything gets shut down right when I get cleared basically to fight again. And but then I don't have a gym or anything. So I'm just like, well, I would run. I'd hit the bag. I had a bag in my house. But
Come on, Tracy wasn't like bootlegging and opening the gym, letting you come in the back door.
Because we were at Affliction, in the Affliction headquarters, and so they didn't want. We're a giant liability, so they're just like, you guys, because not only is it the gym was open to their employees, but to the people who were running their classes in there, and they're like, sorry, but all of you guys got to go. They still allowed the people who worked for them to use it, but everyone else had to just get out of Dodge. They were just like, you guys are out of it, because they're looking out for their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, nothing. So literally 2 years, haven't done anything. Hit me up, and then Tracy's like, hey, you want to fight in the UFC? And this is the whole mental versus my body was 100. Right? Even my body wasn't 100. Well, my body was as close to 100 as, but like it wasn't messed up no more. But I hadn't trained in 2 years. Tracy was holding mitts for me fight week, right? And I haven't hit anything in forever. And they called me Tuesday morning, and they said, be here by noon. It was like 4 a.m. Be here by noon if you want to fight Saturday. And I said, okay.
No shit.
So boom, we jam, we get there. And that whole experience, it was a crazy experience because all of my medicals are terminated, right? Like ever expired. So I had to go get eyes and the MRI and all that stuff running around because I haven't fought in forever. And then so I didn't even realize I was kind of fighting because I was doing so much stuff until it's like we're walking out. I'm like, oh dang, I'm like in the UFC. And it was a crazy experience. It really hit me when after we had already warmed up and because we're in the Apex, right? We're walking and then the lights are going on behind the curtain and I kind of like went like that. I looked back at my coach. I was like, yo, we're in the UFC.
We're here, baby.
We're here. And Tracy was like, yep, no, just go out there and, because it's not like there's a game plan or anything. We found out I was fighting Tuesday and I haven't trained in 2 years. So he's just like, go out there and just fight.
But
I said, all right.
It's a good point that you've got to be ready for all these ups and these downs, because not only do you get that call late notice, then you got to go get all your medicals and go through that whole thing. You don't even get to really digest the whole process. Like,
it was, prep. I much liked my second fight with Phil Rowe for the UFC because like, I knew I was there and everything slowed down. I got to kind of enjoy fight week. But yeah, that first time with D-Rod, it was just, we were running around and everything. And like, I really didn't notice, realized I was fighting until right before we walked out. I almost got like a little emotional, like one tear was like about to come down. I like sucked it back in. I was like, nah, we're not crying today. But it was
not today.
It was a pretty cool moment. I remember going out there and then I see D-Rod on the other side. I'm like looking around. I'm like, man, dang, I'm gonna go fight someone. And yeah, I had a great time fighting him. I just, I don't think I fought my best fight. That's why
you want that one back.
It's funny too because I always he trains at the same strength gym as me, so I run into him all the time. We've trained together since. Yeah. And like I root for him. I want D-Rod, like I think he's a cool guy and everything like that. Yeah. And so after the last fight that I won, he was like, hey man, it was at your guys' show. He goes, great fight. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Great. Congratulations on yours too, because he had just won. And he was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like watching the fight and I was just like, dang, like, good job, Gabe. And then like 3 seconds later, I hear, I want to fight D-Rod. He's just like, what? I thought we were cool. And I have nothing against the guy. It's just, like I would love to fight him
that one back
when I have like, I'm not showing up 2 years off the couch. 4 days notice, I just, and it really doesn't even have to be for everyone to see. I just want to see like a fight between us when he has a camp and I have a camp.
Love that.
Just to see, like we could, no one has to know anything, like just I can be like, oh man, you know what? That guy is better than me. Or I'm be like, you know what? I'm a little better than I thought I was. Or, just for that. Yeah. It doesn't have to be known for everyone. Will it ever happen? Only God knows, Yeah. It's just, and like I said, I love D-Rod, cool guy. Yeah. We're cool. There's no animosity whatsoever between us. It's just one of those ones where it's like, I'd love to run that one back.
I think he'd probably respect you for that too. It's like, you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
It's your motivation of why it all makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if she was on the other foot and some guy's like, man, I want to fight him again because I didn't get a shot, I'd be like, I'm down, And I'm sure he is. It's just it's not up to either of us. Right. I remember he had someone dropped out of his fight, and I was like, hey, if anyone like doesn't want it, I'm willing. Or someone pulled out of mine too, and I was just like, "Hey, D-Rod, if you're free, bro,
I love that.
We got the time, man, But it hasn't worked out yet. It might not ever work out, but it'd be fun if it did.
Yeah. Has fatherhood changed you?
It's 1,000% in multiple ways.
I think this was going to be your answer.
Yeah, I think it's just even getting the closer I got to God, my whole kind of mind switched and I started thinking of things different ways. Like even my relationship with my then girlfriend and then my now wife, like as soon as we like got married, from just that alone, I do the same things, but the reasons for why I do the things I do are completely different. And then even now, more so because I have a daughter, like being a good man, it's my job to, provide and make sure those things. Granted, I'm just working hard, and God's the one who's really providing everything.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of walking outside in the rain with the bucket and just catching what he's throwing at me. But, you know, before I kind of trained and I was going out to do things, and it was for me, my glory. I wanted the belt. I wanted this. I wanted that. And now when I go, I'm like my work schedule hasn't changed at all, but I'm like, all of this stuff that I do for like this work, it's like to make sure that you're taken care of. It's not make sure that she's taken care of. You know, I think so much more about my fights, because especially before my baby was born, I lost 2 fights in a row, right? I lost to Gary and I lost to Battle. And I was thinking a lot about those 2 things. And I was like, if I would have won those 2 fights, my baby would have been born in a world where I would have been in a dramatically different place, you know, like financially and so much, you know, like who knows the route I would have been on, right? And but I wasn't going in there necessarily to like win the fight. I was going out there to like have fun and just like go fight, because I mean I love to fight, you know.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really thinking of anything past that. I was like, I'm gonna go fight. I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. But I wasn't really thinking about how I was going to do it or making sure that I was making smart moves in there to make sure that I did win. I was more kind of, I guess, selfish when I was in there. And I was just making sure that I was having fun and going. Because, like, I think I love fighting more than I do winning, to be completely honest. I just like to scrap. And then now that I have people dependent on me, I'm like, you know what? It's not even about it. Forget the me having fun part. I need to make sure I do everything I can to make sure I win. There's easier ways to victory. I got to make sure I take those easier ways to victory. And it kind of lined up with the closer I got to God too, and realizing like, you know what? I shouldn't go out there representing God in everything that I do and coming like half cocked. You know, he's given me all these talents and skills, and I put in all this work, all this hard work, and I'm saying like I'm gonna do it for his glory. So when I go out there and I use none of the skills that I've acquired in all the like, and he's allowed me all this time to train, you know. So when I go out there and don't do anything, decide like, you know what, I'm gonna bite down, I'm just gonna chuck him and like leave him up to you know, just a coin toss. It's not being respectful to God at all.
Yeah.
So, and then now I got other people that are looking, they're looking towards me to help, like to provide for them.
Yeah,
so I'm like, I got all this extra responsibility too, you know, and God's given me so much. Let me do what I'm supposed to do with what God gave me to make sure that, you know, things happen the way that they're supposed to. But, you know, like I said, regardless of all that, God's going to make happen whatever he's happened. And I think I needed to go, like losing those 2 fights, it's just all part of my journey. It's things that I need to do and to make me the person that I am today. I'm a much better person, fighter, father, like everything, just because I went through those losses and had to, like, I didn't just go through them. You know, I sat there and I like thought about them. I ingested them, and it really helped me grow so much.
But both those fights were at 170, right?
Yeah.
And then your last fight, you went down to 55.
So that was a big thing too. Going into the Battle fight, I wasn't a big 170 whatsoever. As soon as I took the fight,
you're on the smaller side for 170.
Yeah, I'm walking around the heaviest at like 180, and that's me going to buffets, doing everything I can to be beefy and just be like, yeah, I'm a 170, and then doing good against D-Rod. Granted, I lost the decision. I was looking at my coach and I was like, dude, I'm a welterweight, man. I can hang with these guys. D-Rod didn't even come close to knocking me out. I got this. And so we played with the idea, and then I beat Phil Rowe. And Phil Rowe's like one of the biggest welterweights ever. So I looked at him, I was like,
I'm a welterweight.
yeah, I'm like, there ain't no welterweights bigger than that guy. I got this. And then, so after that, I was just like, you know, let's just stay here. Then I won another one, right? Knocked out Johan. And I'm like, Tracy, I think we're going to stay here. And my coach was, you know, he's just like, I mean, you're doing good, so we'll see. Yeah. But the idea of me being a 55er was always just kind of like, my coach would just be like, you're really a 55er. Like, you can win at 170, but you're a 55er. And when I fought Battle, I remember, especially at that time, like my diet so tuned in and everything, it was so hard for me to stay above like 175. I showed up fight week at like 172 or something like that. And
yeah, that's 55ers, right? I mean,
yeah,
some of them.
yeah. And my coach was just, I remember every week I was losing weight and my coach was like, go to eat more, like go do something. Like I don't want you walking around under 75, like this many weeks out from your fight. Like this, don't go lift or something, you know? And then, and he missed weight that fight too, you know, like he showed up to weigh in on weigh-in day, the same weight that I've been walking around when I like accepted the fight. So, and he fought at 185. So battle's like a big 170, right? But so that whole time, even we were joking about it fight week, like, hey, you know what, Gabe, why don't you just go down to 55? And I'm like, yeah, I really should. Ha 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 ha, you know? But then I think God knows I'm a little hard-headed sometimes, and I got to experience some things for me to just sit down and really understand, like, you know what, maybe I should just be a 55er, especially as far as stature goes at 170. I'm 5'10". I think the average UFC fighter at 170 is like around 6'2", 6'3", you know. I got a decently long reach for my height, but still like 3 or 4 inches shorter than the average welterweight. So I'm just missized, you know. Besides that, walking around significantly smaller. I was getting back up to like 175 with my clothes on come fight day, you know. The other guy's getting back up to like 85, 90, 95, you know, maybe even 200. So I was just smaller than those guys. And because of that, I have to fight a lot more risky and take a lot more chances than I would have. I can't like ease into things. Like a lot of people, when you pulled up the thing, it was like Gabe's a button masher. He just goes out there and throw. But like, how else? What am I going to point fight some guy who's just
5 inches on you?
You know, like Gary's 6'3" or something like that, and he's like, he moves really well. So like, oh, how am I going to go get that guy if I'm not just kind of allowing myself to like run into the fire so I can land something? I'm never going to just be on the outside making a miss and landing a shot. I don't got the length for it. It's impossible. I got to force the action. I got to make things happen. I could grapple a little bit more. That'd probably help my chances, honestly. But wasn't really thinking about that too much when I was fighting. Like I like to throw the hands a little too much.
You like to entertain the fans.
Yeah, you know, and that's something else too. You know, like we were talking about the admiration of people. I was really just trying to put on a show for everyone to have fun when I was there. Not so much thinking about should I win or lose. Or at the time I didn't have a wife and child, but you know, I was more worried about what other people thought, you know? And so what was kind of fulfilling me before I like turned to God was what everyone else thought of my performances and all that stuff. But they're so finicky, like I was saying, it's just setting yourself up for kind of failure and loss. Cause as soon as they turn on you, what, you know?
It's all superficial, right? The ones that, truly mean something are your inner circle, your family and your real loved ones.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview with Mighty Mouse, and he was talking about his loss, and he realized that the people who loved him still loved him after he lost. Yep. And I was like, you know, that's what it is. The people who actually matter in your life, they're gonna love you and they're gonna ride, or they should. If they're not riding with you, then they're not the people who love you, right?
Exactly. Yep.
They're gonna be with you. They're gonna ride with you. They're gonna go on every up and down in life with you, and they're just gonna be there the whole time.
Yeah, one thing that drives me nuts, because I think we're different than a lot of promotions. We're very close with a lot of the fighters, right? We try to have interpersonal relationships with these guys and really try to bring that love to the table from a combat sports promotion. I know that's a little weird, but when they lose, it just kills them. I'm so sorry I lost. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no way, man. You went out there, you did your thing. Keep your head up.
Yeah. It's important to have those people in your life, like, because you're already down, you know? Yeah. And I know like a lot of them, they don't want to hear it, but it's something that, you know, should be talked about. You know what? You went out there and like as a coach, I know if the guy like did something that he wasn't supposed to, I'll definitely let him know.
Oh,
like
sure.
If one of my guys are like, bro, like you went out there, like every time I've lost, cause I just do what I'm not supposed to, my coach would be like, Gabe, come on, you're better than that.
Yep.
You know, like what was going through your mind?
Yep.
And you can get through it. Still proud of me for going out there and, you know, like risking it all, just letting it all hang out in front of everybody, you know, cause that takes a whole bunch of balls and guts, right? But yeah, I mean, let the person know he's got to work on some things and all that stuff from a coaching standpoint. But yeah, you know, lift them up, let them know that they did something that's hard to do and that they should be proud of what they did.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's huge for guys to get in that cage, especially today's world with social media and I mean, the world sees what you're doing like that.
Yeah, no, dude.
It's a far cry from your days of fighting at CXF, right? With Georgie, like you only had those people in Sportsman's Lodge or wherever it was. You know, those 1,000 people. Now you're on a stage, you know, with 15,000 people in the house.
I can only imagine if they had the show even like similar to you guys, or if social media was as like prominent as it was back then, had so many more like eyes on everybody who was fighting. It'd be great. That's what you guys are, like I said, you guys are doing a great job with the whole thing. Cause I'm like, it's so funny because people can't even tell the difference between UFC and like an amateur show. Like the regular person, they're just like, oh, that guy's a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
You know? Like they really don't know the difference. So they're watching it, and you got the promotion is just like,
it's the coolest thing when you'll get these rising stars like, yeah, people recognize me now because they're like, oh, you fight with Up Next, or I've seen you on, you know, Instagram with Up Next. You know?
Yeah, when you're scrolling, like you really, unless you know that the UFC is the UFC, it's all just like, dang, I mean, these guys are out here doing like living their dreams, doing all this stuff. Like this guy made it, you know, and it's just like,
it's so cool to be a part of these guys' journey on the regional scene. You know what I mean? Just so fulfilling.
No, it definitely is. Well, you fought two guys that used to be UNF champs, Taco Padilla and Javier Garcia. But it's kind of crazy, you know, you guys are kind of the cream of the crop from Southern California. You got to the UFC first. Now Taco's kind of there too. What was it like fighting those guys?
I was just talking to Javier the other day too. I remember we were getting ready for that fight, and I just really wanted to strike, and the whole match was like grappling, and I was just like, let me punch you. Just let me punch you.
Javi didn't want you to punch him.
It was just like I think that was my first pro fight that went to the third round too. And the whole time I was like going back to the corner, I'm like, I'm gonna get him. And Tracy was just like, you know, I mean, you're doing fine in the grappling exchanges, is fine, but I wanted to hit him so bad. I just like wanted to. Not even recently, but like the me that I am now compared to the me that I was back then, I was an okay grappler. I could grapple. I just didn't think it was fun. Like at all.
Yeah, punch someone in the face.
Yeah, I wanted to just let the hands go. Like not even
I like
kick.
you punching people in the face, by the way.
Thank you. I always wanted to punch. So like now it took me, I think like I'm a brown belt now, and this kind of love for grappling didn't really happen until I was a brown belt. But I was looking at my coach, I was like, hey, you know what, this stuff is pretty cool, man. He's looking at me like, dude, you're a brown belt. I'm glad you well, that's probably why I don't have the black, just because I barely found a love for
we're gonna
grappling.
have to call Tracy, see what we can do about that black belt.
After my last fight too, I was like, hey, so I got a sub.
That's right.
Do I get a black belt or and he's just like, you're also almost got subbed. I was like, it wasn't that close.
I love that response though. That's funny.
I remember one time we were at the gym, he said, could I give Gabe a black belt? Would anyone just be like, oh yeah, would anyone kind of say anything against it? He's like, no, everyone would be like, yeah, Gabe's a black belt. He's like, does that mean I give it to him? No, that doesn't mean I give it to him. And I was like, it was actually his daughter. Because she was like, hey, Gabe subbed everybody. How come Gabe doesn't have a black belt? And I looked at him, I was like, yeah, why don't I have a black belt, Tracy? And he's just like, that's when he said, he's like, if I gave it to him, no one would say anything. Like no one would say anything. No, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give it to him. I'm like, all right. Because I mean, there are holes in my game and stuff like that. And Tracy's really stingy with his black belts, man. He barely gives those things out. So he wants to make sure.
I respect that though.
I do too.
I think there's like 5. I think he has 5 black belts only. And all of them are really good at jiu-jitsu, you know? And so he's just like, yeah, Gabe's not ready yet. I'm like, all right, whenever. It's going to be that much more special.
Listen, he's going to give it to you when the time is right, I think.
100%.
He's that
100%.
guy. I actually hold him in very high regard. You know, I watch him from afar, so.
Yeah. Everyone knows that guy, too. I didn't realize the, like, just God's time and God's placement and all that stuff, God's plan. Me falling into him and his presence, right? Like the way he runs his gym, the way he runs his school, it's so family oriented. Like that's just like, I see all those guys as my brothers and stuff like that in the gym. And Tracy's like, some hybrid, almost like an uncle, because he's not like,
Yeah.
he's like a dad and a brother figure at the same time,
Call him Monk.
yeah, where it's just like, yeah, and I didn't realize that he was the person who he was until we started, I started competing, and then I'm like at big shows, fighting for Bellator, fighting for the UFC, and like everyone knows him everywhere. I'm like, I didn't realize that the guy who I was training with was some guy who was that well known. You know, he's everyone knows who Tracy is. I remember even when I first started training, people were asking my dad, like, "Oh, well, where's Gabe training at?" He's like, "Oh, Tracy Hess," and some guys were like, "Oh, I never heard of him," and then my dad was like, who is that guy? I'm like, I can't tell you. But what I've come to realize is the people who don't know who Tracy is are the nobodies. And
It's the
anybody who
randoms.
is somebody, they know who
It's the
Tracy
randoms
is.
like me, like prior to working and building up Next, I wouldn't have known who Tracy was, right?
Yeah.
But the hardcores, the guys in the know exactly who Tracy is.
Yeah, it's and I was just having this conversation with someone else. I'm like, yeah, man, Tracy's just well known and just respected by like everybody.
Yeah, he's very well respected.
Yeah.
All right, so we talk about food a lot. What's your favorite food?
Oof. So I got this problem.
I also have a problem. Let's see if it's the same problem.
I know what this is. I did my research.
You did your research. So it happened a couple years back, and I just have the inability to like eat grains now. I have like some kind of autoimmune issue or something. My gut just can't handle them. So if I eat anything that is grain derived or corn derived or like, which is in all the good stuff. Like I feel so annoying because when I first started dating my wife, she would read the ingredients and I was just like, what are you doing? Just eat it. But now I'm just like, oh, dang, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I can't eat that. So like, yeah, I can't eat anything with grains in it or something that comes from grains. And I don't know why. I don't know why it happened. It would have just switched on, and like my fingers swell up. I get a bunch of swelling behind my eyes. My intestines will swell so bad that like my back clogs up, and I'll be in pain for days. And I'll even like just like break out with skin problems, like just all over. And I'm like, well, I can't train like that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and not eat grains. And so I've been like that for a while. Super helps with the diet. Staying locked in with the fighting stuff because it's really hard for me to splurge on anything. I eat a super clean diet. It's like potatoes for carbs for the most part, and then fruits, veggies, and meat. And I mean, I love potatoes, so it's not that bad of a life. But the problem is when I'm a workhorse and I'm training so much, regardless if I'm in camp or not, hours and hours a day. So like I'm recommended to eat like, 700, 800 calories or carbs. And it's like 6 pounds of potatoes, right? So what I do, I usually do like 3 pounds of potatoes a day. I was trying to do the 6 pound, but that's so hard. I do like 3 pounds of potatoes. And then I found this little trick where I just kind of make my own bread that's grain free, and that's easier for me to get the carbs in, a lot less hard on the stomach as far as like just space, man. 6 pounds of potatoes is a whole bunch. My coach was like, dude, I was eating 3 pounds of white potatoes and 3 pounds of sweet potatoes, and I was like, this is gonna be the only way I can do this is if I like super boil these sweet potatoes and then I make them into like a mash almost, but then drink them, because I'm not going to be able to chew all that stuff up. So I was doing that. I was eating 3 pounds of russet, 3 pounds of sweet potatoes, and like just drinking it. It was like in a half gallon of sweet potatoes. And I felt like I had energy, but I was also just like, my stomach was way too full, way too full. So then it's been a learning process, just trying to, because at first I was operating on just not enough carbs, but my body was making it work. And now since my one of my friends is a nutritionist, he's like, you should really up your carbs, dude. Your carbs are too low for what you're doing. You'd be so much better as far as your performances and your ability to work out. So I was just like, all right, let's figure this out.
Well, something's working. I mean, your last performance, you looked great.
Thank you. Yeah. It was nice to win. It was nice to win.
You got to be on a high from that, bro.
The whole week was so emotional because I had 2 years off again, right? Since my last fight. And I tore my ACL and then I tore my LCL on my other leg. I was scheduled to fight Jan Top, and then I tore my LCL like 2 weeks before the fight with him. And I remember that was like right before or right after I got really close to God, like really, really, really close to God. And soon as when my knee popped, I was just laying on the floor and I felt defeated for a second, but then I was just like, you know what, God, I pray that everything that happens to me is the way that you have planned and like, however you have it written up. So I understand that this is the way it's supposed to happen. And I submit to it. I know that when I'm back in there, I'm supposed to be back in there and everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. Sure enough, fast forward like another year after the rehab and all that stuff. And boom, I get the win. And the super interesting thing about that is, because like I was saying before before my knee popped, I recently got like married and stuff like that. And so my whole kind of thoughts on everything was changing, like I already mentioned. And I was thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna get this fight. I'm gonna be able to provide for my wife, and then probably TMI, but she got pregnant like right away after we got married. I think it was actually technically the honeymoon. Right? God wanted that baby, but I was always thinking was
God's plan, bro.
yeah. No, I was just thinking, all right, what I do for money is I fight. So let me fight and then do this, and then my knee popped, and I was just like, well, how am I supposed to provide for my, like, what am I gonna do? And then, but just, it was another lesson I needed to learn the entire time. God was just providing things for me, man. That, like, I'm over here with no job, my knee's messed up, I can't do a lot of stuff. But then, I have friends that fight, and they're like hitting me up and just like, all right, well, you're not like training. Can you coach me for this fight? And then shoot me bread for being their active coach. So I like took like a coaching role, and I was able to kind of supplement what I would got, and just I always had, no matter what was coming up, just enough money on all my expenses the entire time. And I was just like, yeah, God, I get it. No matter where I am, I know you are gonna take care of me. You're always gonna, like, I'm outside with the bucket. I'm just catching the rain.
Yeah.
He just always gives me. And it's not just me. I'm not special. It's everybody. If you're paying attention, he's giving you
Equal opportunity.
yeah, and everything you need. You just got to go out there and just do what you got to do. But he's putting everything out there for you. You just got to receive it.
Yeah.
And it's just the biggest things. Like, if I didn't have those 2 knee injuries, I wouldn't have ended up probably fighting the guy that I just fought at that time, and having he kind of had a lot of hype behind him because of what he did with beating the other guy who did the whole Dana thing and was like, I need to be in the UFC. And Dana was like, all right, well, here's your opportunity. So he stole that guy's hype. So he was coming into the UFC with, they thought he was going to be some killer. And don't be wrong, kid's great. He's got a bright future. But because I was able to beat him, I kind of got a little bit of a hype on me rolling, especially after being out for 2 years where I kind of had like no momentum whatsoever, kind of stole some of the stuff. And then now people are looking at me
too, right? Like getting that hype behind you, getting the bigger fights, getting more eyes on you. So
yeah. And then, but then that's the importance of social media. So you just more eyes on you, that gets people looking in without the UFC even doing anything. So they're always looking at the people with the most.
Well, yeah, we always talk about you got to be a brand inside the cage and outside the cage, right? You got to work really hard to build that brand and, create that following.
And people are always telling me like, you should post more of this, that. They're like, you only post about Jesus. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's my brand. Just
that's my purpose, right?
A guy who loves Jesus and his family.
Yeah.
So I mean, if
and
anyone
that's not
wants
always like as popular, right? Like at the end of the week, kind of talk about, we love, sit downs when people are super respectful, this and that. But what gets the hype and the views are when people are chirping, being disrespectful sometimes, things like that.
Yeah,
just such a double-edged sword, bro.
Dude, I'm always thinking, I'm like, well, we'll see what God has planned for me. But if I get to the point in my fight career with the UFC where I'm up there and we're doing press conferences and the other guys talking a bunch of trash, I'm like, I hope the other guy's ready for me just to be like, hey man, God bless you and your family. You know, like after he calls me and insults me just tremendously or something like that, I'm just gonna be like, man, God bless you and your family. I pray that God's will be done tomorrow and just how everything happens the way it's supposed to. I love you, man. And just like go like that. It's just not gonna be fun probably for people to watch, but
Yeah.
I'm also not gonna be someone I'm not, you
You got to be
know.
authentic
Yeah,
too.
I think
You
that's
gotta-
what, because when people are being, when they're trash talking and it's not who they are, it just comes off as so
Well,
weird.
you know what shines through too, and tell me if you agree with me. You are clearly a man of faith, right? Your words say that you are, but you can really see your eyes light up when you talk about God and these things. It's very clear to me that you're not just talking, you're living it. Whereas a lot of guys will act as if they're very, you know, they have faith and they believe in
Yeah.
God and they're living this righteous life when they're really kind of just talking about it and not living it.
Yeah.
You seem to me like you're living it and you really believe in what you're saying.
And like I see that too. And I love when people give God the glory after a fight. And I'm always like, man, I wish they
Lived
just
it.
like, yeah, you know,
Yep.
if you're gonna be, it's cool that you give God his glory and you point eyes towards him, but now you're a person that people are looking at like, oh, like that's an example of a Christian man or that's of a God-fearing man. And then they look at your other actions and it's like, is that how they act? You know? So I just wish that some people knew, especially having the platforms that they have, that they held themselves the way that that they should, because the Bible speaks of like like you shining God's light through you. You know, people be looking at you and realizing that's God's light, that's God's love. You're gonna the fruits of your actions and all that stuff. You're gonna be recognized by your fruit. And I don't think a lot of people. I think a lot of people just haven't spent enough time reading the Bible and like really understanding. Like it's not even their fault. Like they don't understand what they're doing is kind of wrong. They've only taken that kind of first step towards being a follower and like they've accepted him as their savior, or at least they think they have. Because when you've truly accepted God as your savior, everything else kind of lines up with everything that he's doing. Like the Bible says, you can't serve two masters, right? So you're going out there, and if you're going to be claiming this, you should be understanding that you got to carry yourself a certain way because of that. And I think that's that where a lot of people mess up. But like I'm not without sin. It's I struggle
None
with
of
a
us
lot
are,
of stuff.
bro.
Exactly. So
100%.
at the same time, even when I have those thoughts, I'm like, well, like I try to do my best, but I still fall extremely short of God's glory. So I'm like, he has the patience and gives me the grace to be forgiven and all that stuff. So I'm like, at least he's saying, God, like that's cool. Cause, like, yeah, nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. I just pray that, they continue to grow on their journey and start realizing how they could even grow further.
Well, I think what's important, not only as an athlete, as a person, but like evolution in life, right? We're all flawed, right? But it's that journey and that desire to evolve, to be better, I think is what's really important too in life.
100%. You can't be just stuck in your ways, man.
No, bro, it drives me nuts. Where people, oh, this is just how I am, or this is just how I've always been. Like,
Yeah.
you should want to change to be the best version of yourself.
Always
100%.
trying to be the better you. Because I mean, like, especially you're representing God, always level up, man.
Yeah, do you feel like, and not even on the religious side, but just do you feel like athletes have a responsibility to be good role models, or do you feel like, with a platform, there's
Yeah.
not this responsibility, or how do you sort of feel about it? Or just that people should use that platform for good, or
it's like, it's interesting because I would say that being the person that I am with my background and knowing that you have all these eyes on you, you should use it for good. You should use it, like lining up God's glory. He wants that spreading of, the gospel and stuff. Like, I want to win, and I'm like, just so I can be on the mic and just give like a mini sermon, be like, all right,
Yeah.
guys, like this is God right here, da, 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 right? And that only happens if I win. But also, like God doesn't necessarily need that for me. He's got all these plans and stuff working and stuff like that. That's why sometimes the person loses and whatever God's got planned. But if you take that out of the picture, you know, like as far as should someone use their platform to go which this way or that way, you know, I don't know if they necessarily should, you know, just because they have that position, if you're going to remove God from it completely, then they can do whatever they want. But if you are, and like you should include God in it because all things are thanks to him, you know, you should definitely do things to glorify him. Yeah, so it's like, because if they're not giving themselves to God, and so like what other like laws or what's their moral compass in the first place? Why do they have an obligation to do anything? You know, they can really just do whatever they want. I don't agree with it. I think that they should hold themselves a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to take God out of the picture, then it's kind of just chaos and anarchy. And it's just like, well, they can, there's, where is the moral like compass? Like,
Yeah.
where's that divide and that line? You know, that's like the whole point of having a God-centered, you know, culture or society, just to keep us, you know, we have our like kind of absolutes. There's not a lot of gray area. It's like, that's this or that. Does it align with God or not, you know?
Yeah. No, I just hate, I mean, not hate, but, you know, the guys with the millions of followers and they're not being good role models, or, you know, I don't need to be role models, but I hate when they're preaching hate or whatever it kind of is. Because you do have all these people, you know, regardless of what religion they believe in and everything, they're still looking up to these people and they still have a voice. So it's like, at least on the moral compass, like, you know, be a decent person and do good or try to be better type of thing.
Yeah, I just feel like if people have a platform, an opportunity to change the world for a more positive thing, and again, whether it's religion, God, whatever that is, just for people just to be better to each other, you know what I mean, and be respectful, I think is kind of what we need more of.
Yeah,
Totally. In this world, 100%.
I'd love for everyone to do that. It's just, you know, like I said, if there is, that's the beauty of God or just having a religion in general, because you have something to bait your why on. Why? Well, you're just telling a person the way that they should act and do. Like, why should that person do that? He's not. He thinks the only person he has to answer to is himself. So there's nothing to check him. You know.
It's true.
So when you, and it doesn't have to be like I follow my God, the Christian God, but if you have something to keep you, you know, checks, guide,
totally.
you know, then now you're gonna hold yourself to certain rules and stuff like that and be like, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this. I should, even if it's just that whole I should like kind of karma-ish thing going like I should do more good than bad. Then you know that's still kind of holding you to a certain thing. But without it, it's like, well, so it's all depends on, should everyone have some sort of moral compass? Probably.
Believe in a higher.
That would be nice. Yeah, 100%.
In today's world, we need that, bro. Like, it's got to be a little scary bringing up a daughter in today's world a little bit for you, right? Like, I have two granddaughters, you know, 5 and 6, and just the world is just, you know, a little funky in my opinion.
A little funky. I'm thinking, okay, so she's 7 months right now. I'm probably gonna fight till I'm 32. I might fight till. I mean, if I can fight till I'm 40, that's super cool, but we'll see, you know? And I'm like, so 40, 32, that's 8 years. She'll be like 8. That's like what, second, third grade? I was like, then I'm like, maybe I'm going to train a lot less towards the end of my career. I'm like, I think I can manage homeschooling her. I'm like, I think I can.
Think that's like a really viable option these days.
Right. I mean, you are a very faith-driven person and you have strong beliefs. It's very clear, like in today's education systems, like, it's a little scary what the schools teach and things like that. I know my daughter with my granddaughters was going around touring different schools, finding out what the curriculum was, and very concerned with just different places.
I'm just not a big fan of school systems in general. I got homeschooled 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. I went back to regular public school when I was like a junior. And what I realized was that it's just a place for parents to drop off their kids and someone else to watch them while they're going working so that they can go work. When I was homeschooled, the day was like, as far as work goes, like 2 hours and I was done with my school day, you know, like with homework and like everything. I was like, all right, well, that's all I needed today, right? And me being in school, I was just like, dang, I'm still here. You know, like, why am I here? I'm just wasting time. And I just think that the way that the school systems are just kind of run or just kind of
Well, you look
wrong.
at like the lack of respect, you know, for the teachers. You look at what teachers get paid. Like it's a whole thing where I think our country has to put a stronger focus on education, right? But the right education with a solid curriculum, take the politics and all that stuff away, and the kids just need to be educated, right? I mean, if you look at the studies and stuff where all these countries are surpassing the United States now, it's a little scary.
I think we're a little too focused on teaching to pass a test versus actual teaching. You know, we put these teachers in a box, and so it just everything becomes really redundant, and they're just literally they're worried all about the numbers. They're not worried about the child, and that's, you know, children kind of important. Next generation, they're kind of gonna be
They're
the
our
ones that are
future,
running
bro,
things
right?
after. You know,
Yeah.
So taking the time to just build up the next generation and making them be able to think critically and you know, teach them certain compassions and
Life
stuff like that,
skills.
life skills.
Yeah.
For sure, it should happen. And I think a lot of people, not just teachers, but they kind of become people go into jobs for whatever reasons, but people tend to not follow their passions, man. You know, like it'd be nice to see teachers that enjoy teaching. It'd be nice to like nurses. I know so many nurses that like hate nursing, but they go because they're getting paid well, and and that just bringing it back to religion one more time. They're just kind of idolizing the dollar and the money more than anything else. Not necessarily with teaching because they don't get paid that much, but they probably like not, you know, like the schedule and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and not
but I
having to
mean,
be around all the time.
true. I think if you have a passion and a drive and a desire for what you do, like you have a drive and desire to be, you know, in the UFC and perform.
Yeah.
Like people need to have that to teach kids. I mean, what's more important than teaching our kids?
Like I said, they're literally the next generation. Like they're the future. If we're not taking the time to build that, then we're fine. We're being selfish because we're fine with what we got right now, and we don't care about what they have to deal with later because they're going to be the ones that are stuck with it. And so because society is the way that they are, we just kind of think about ourselves sometimes.
But this is why I love like the combat sports world, you know, developing all these programs for kids.
Oh yeah.
You know, teaching them the self-defense, the confidence, you know, the security. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Because we have a kids programs and I help teach it. It's me and Tracy. It's just fun to see two kids kind of go at it too. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie. Like one kid like shooting, the other one snaps him down, goes around, takes his back. You're just like, these kids are little ninjas. They're doing the same stuff we do. So that's just kind of funny to see in itself. But regardless of the people started when they're young like that or as an adult, it's just so important to learn some kind of martial arts or something because it teaches you so many life skills to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions, be able to think through situations that aren't going so great, you know, to understand and be humbled that you're not as tough or as good as you think you are, to be reminded that there are people out there that are better than you. These are all things that people need to kind of experience that they really don't experience too often. And just like the discipline thing, showing up, being on time for the practice and just working through. I think it's really important to understand growth too, you know, like because you show up and you suck at first because everyone sucks in the beginning, and then, you know, you progressively get better. And it's really important to understand that like that happens and witness that as an individual. And like martial arts does all of that. It's I don't know how we do that. We call up Trump or something. Be like, look, let's make it mandatory for everyone to just train any martial art, a martial art. Let's throw that in the curriculum or something.
I agree with Gabe.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah. Well, why haven't you trained then?
I've trained. You got me training since I was 5 years old. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you haven't accomplished anything.
I was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
Is that impressive? Are you impressed that Ryan is a blue belt? I mean, you know,
I don't like. I'm not gonna say like I'm impressed, but
No, I don't think you should be impressed.
It is higher than a lot of people. No, but like people never even start. So to get the blue belt in
blue
itself
belt just means I trained before because you just said I should train. So I trained. That's my proof, and that's that.
Most people get their blue belt, and the very small amount of people that start training get their blue belt, and then usually after they get their blue belt, they're never seen again. So
I fall into that
he just
category.
followed that. Yeah.
Ryan's one of those statistics, is what
He's
you're saying,
a
Gabe?
statistic for sure.
So, Gabe, what's up next for you?
What's up next for me? I mean, we're just waiting. I got a family vacation coming up
So
in,
you're going
in
to-
Cabo,
can I
man.
say-
Yeah.
okay.
Enjoy.
Yeah, we're going to Cabo, all inclusive resort. I usually go once a year. Not necessarily to this one, but going with some teammates and some coaches. We're all gonna have a good time, and then that's in the middle of August. So I'll be ready probably. I mean, I'd like maybe end of September, early October, because I definitely plan on having, enjoyment there and like relaxing for a week. I don't think I'm gonna get like that fat or anything while I'm out there, but just need a quick reset, get back in the swing of things, and then, if they call me, I'll be ready.
So, are there any names out there who you want to fight? I mean, I know you want that back against D-Rod. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I think you talked about wanting it back in another with Battle. Is there anybody,
Yeah.
like, who would you want to face next? Perfect world.
Anyone who I've lost to, for sure. And if not, I thought it would be, I was really like, Dustin's retiring, but I've always wanted to fight Dustin. I thought that'd be awesome. But now that he's retiring, I'm gonna have to go with Max, like not right now, but I would, before I'm done and before he's done, I'd really love to fight Max. I know Cowboy Cerrone's back. And I'd
Cowboys
really-
coming back?
Yeah, he wants to do 2 more fights, I think. I'd love to fight Cerrone. I think Cerrone
I'd
would
like
be
to
awesome.
see.
They're more like, I don't know if any of these are gonna happen, but it's like I don't really have anyone who I'm like, oh, I want to fight this guy in my division. I just think it'd be really cool to fight like Holloway or Dustin or Cerrone now that he's back. I think all those would be so fun to do just because when I was like coming up, I was like, those are the guys that I was watching. I totally would just love to just spend my time in the cage with them and just like feel that, that'd be, I really wanted Ferguson before he was gone, but now he's gone. So just, yeah, I'd really like to do that. That'd be awesome.
Well, today is the fight between Poirier and Holloway. So, who do you think takes that?
I'm hoping for a double knockout. That'll be the only thing I'll be
It's
satisfied
tough to
for.
see one of those guys lose, man.
That's it. But I think a double knockout draw is just the best way to end the fight. They literally minute left, they just point down or 10 seconds left, they just point down the middle and just start throwing, and they both land a hook and both of them fall down. And I'd be like, that was acceptable. Like that's
That was acceptable.
because I don't want to see any of them lose. Like you said,
Yeah.
like I root for both of them. Like if Max wins, I'm gonna be upset that Dustin lost, and if Dustin wins, I'm gonna be upset that Max lost. So if they both knock each other out, I'm gonna be like, cool.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'll be happy.
Yeah, they're both legends of the sport.
Yeah.
They really are. Excited for that one.
Do you have
Again,
a prediction though, or you won't predict? Or?
I think Mac's gonna win, but it's gonna be a close fight.
But do you have a prediction, or you don't want to predict? Okay, I know you want the double knockout, but
No, I mean, I don't know, because Dustin is 2-0, and so if you're going by history, Dustin's just gonna go do it again. But Max is Max. You can't ever count him out. I literally, it's just like
Yeah, it's a really close fight.
I have no idea. I hope for the double knockout. That's it. That's all I got to say.
put
for
some
it.
money on that double knockout, right?
Dude, I bet
I
you
don't know
that
if
would
there's
pay,
odds on that even.
that
but-
would pay so good. Just like throw $20 down on the double knockout.
Oh yeah, that would pay a couple thousand at least.
Are you a gambler or nah?
Not
Not
really.
really.
Not really. I mean, I used to put like money on me to win when I could, but then they got rid of that. So now it's
That's
just,
why you guys can't gamble, huh?
I can't
Yeah.
put money on it. But that's the only person I'd put on myself. Other than that, don't really gamble or anything like that. Because I mean, essentially, I already do it when I'm fighting because losing gives me half my purse. So I'm like, I just throw a couple extra dollars on there. So I'm either gonna win big or be crying at home.
Well, Ryan, what else do we need to cover? What haven't we covered today?
I'm not sure. What haven't we covered?
Bro, we've covered a lot. Is there anything else that we should be talking about before we close this thing up?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on faith. We touched on my journey. I just enjoyed my time with you guys. It was
No,
a
I mean,
good
this
talk.
was, it's actually really cool. And again, I always call myself a fan. And I don't mind that. Like people like get all offended. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of yours, bro. I'm a bigger fan now just to know that you're so faith driven, so purpose driven. I think that's really impressive because I think it's a really hard balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's doable, but you've got to be very committed to doing it.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, admiration from God's all I need now. You know, I was a
Yeah.
much different person when I first started training and stuff like that. And
We just got to get Ryan going in the right direction.
just
You know what I mean?
get a purple. You're right.
All right, maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll start doing some jujitsu classes again. I wonder if I still got it a little bit. I haven't trained in like 11 or 10 years.
It's like
Probably.
riding a bike. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Just jump back into it.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, I messed his arm up with the arm bar back in the day.
Bro,
It's still messed up.
yeah, I didn't tap and I should have tapped, bro. So now it's like,
Just
as
some-
I'm getting
Some
older,
stem
like,
cells, man. You'll be all right.
I need to do something. I'm falling apart, Gabe, to be honest with you.
That's,
You hit those 50s.
I can only imagine when I turned 30, I was just like, I got a long life. Well, hopefully I got a long life, but my body's going to be in some hurting. I've been hurt a little too much. I think it's because I just train so hard, and
Yeah.
I went through this struggle with it really set in with my faith too, like obeying the Sabbath. Like God's like, take a day off, you know, and I'm like, God took a day off. Am I better than God? No. So you know, if it's good enough for him. It's good enough for me. So and your body needs it. Your body needs rest.
Yep.
And I think that was most of my injuries occurred before because I just wasn't giving my body the time that it needed to rest and recuperate. So because of that, I torn this, torn that,
Yeah.
got surgeries here and there. It's funny actually because like I've been training for 10 years, but because of injury, like time off, I've probably only got like 5 years of mat time. So, and it's kind of good because I'm extremely moldable still, like as an athlete, as a fighter. Like my coaches show me something and I'm not stuck in my ways, even though I've been training for like 10 years, because I'm just like, oh yeah, I can switch it up. I could do it like that. Like I'm not stuck, you know, I'm getting better, and I feel like I get these giant peaks where like my experience just goes up a ton and I level up huge just because I'm still like pretty dang new compared to everyone else who's, you know,
Crazy
where
that
I'm
you
at.
say that, pretty damn new, and you're in the UFC.
Yeah, and then
You,
the
you know
crazy
what I mean?
thing is,
So if you
yeah.
kind of really do that math, it's kind of crazy.
No, yeah, I'm still new to this 100%. Like like I said, 5 years of real mat time, and I'm competing in the UFC with, and even at higher weight classes with guys that are top 10, you know. So I think we'll see what God wants, but I feel like I have the skill and the ability, thanks to God, to really compete at the 55 division. Let alone, I think I can do 170.
You've proven you can do
I
170,
think I
but
can do 170.
I'm
still,
excited
but
to see your next fight, and I think it should be at 155. You're
No, yeah,
explore
for-
that weight
that-
class and
we're
see what
exploring.
noise you're gonna make over there. you know?
That's the plan for sure. 55 for a second. You know, who knows what God has planned? I win the belt.
Unless they call with Cowboy Cerrone at 170, then
Why
we
do
can
I like that
entertain
fight a
it.
lot?
You know what?
I like you versus Cowboy a lot.
See, that one wouldn't even be that bad because really he is a
55er fighting at 72.
He's just not cut. So I'm like, yeah, I won't cut weight because like you're probably not cutting weight unless he's just like juiced out of the gills right now. But still, you know, whatever. Yeah.
Right? Can we make the call to Cowboy and just put it in his ear? And maybe he can call Dana and
I feel like
UFC and make
I'm
that
not a
happen?
big enough name for it to happen.
I'm not a big enough name to make that call either.
I feel like I gotta like. I know he wants 2 more, so maybe if I get another one that's a little nice, you know, puts a little more eyes on me. After that, I can probably catch his like last fight, you know, before he's gone. That'd be sick. But you know, my ability to predict the future is nothing. You know, I can only kind of
I
just
don't know.
throw
I
it
could
out
see
there.
you versus Cowboy as a fight they make. I don't know, but
He-
what do
he-
I know?
he-
What do I know?
And what I love about Cowboy too is that when I saw him at the PI, like he talked to me and everything like that. He wasn't like just like walking past me and stuff like that. He probably won't even remember it if I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you talked to me at the PI one time. And you probably see so many people and like that. But that's why like it sounds weird. I want to fight him because he talked to me. But you know, like it's just because he was so cool of a person
Yeah.
and he didn't treat me any different from anybody else. And I respected that much. Him even more meeting him in person.
I think that goes to show his true character, because I think when guys have that level of success, how they treat other people around them that could do nothing for them, I
Yeah.
think speaks volumes to their character.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. When he did that, I was like, man, this guy's awesome.
Yeah. No, guys that are very successful, they'll take the time, shake the hands, do the pictures, like Brian Ortega, right? I'm a big fan of T-City because he'll come to our events, never turns a fan away to take pictures, spends a moment with them. He doesn't have to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he really takes the time to do it.
Yeah,
Think
no,
the world of it.
Ortega's a super cool
Yeah,
guy.
you did the same thing at our event too, which was awesome of you. So
Thank you.
I don't think people realize how much that means to the fans for you guys to just take a moment with them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, from what I think is like, I really don't think I'm any different from anybody else. So I'm just like, yeah, if you want to take a picture with me, sure, dude. You know, like I think that's really weird if someone's like, no, I don't think. Like I understand maybe you get annoyed if some people do it too much, but still, you know, it's just a picture, man.
Yeah, if they come at you the right way, I think it's cool. But we've had some folks who definitely aren't as fan friendly, you know?
That's for sure.
Yeah, so we just love guys like you, TC, guys that are just fan friendly who are down to earth people. So
Yeah,
makes a huge difference. I think you can make a positive impact with that little interaction you have with someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if I can spread God's light and love as much as I can, I'm gonna try to do it.
I love it. All right, Ryan, anything else?
No, nothing else from me.
Okay, well, what did we learn today, Ryan?
We learned a lot, but the beautiful thing is we got to really learn about Gabe. I became more of a fan of him today, and hopefully whoever else listens to this, gets a lot of insight on it too. So
Gets inspired by you, your journey, and what you've accomplished and what else you're destined to accomplish.
I mean, God put us here for a reason, right? So hopefully everyone who needs to hear whatever was said today, ends up hearing it.
Got it. Well, thank you, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me.
Ugh.